Good afternoon, my beautiful soul followers. Hope everyone is starting their day, or well, in the middle of their day since it's at late afternoon. And it's been an amazing day. I'm hoping everyone's having an amazing day. I would love to hear how you're doing below. So today's topic is not super sexy, not about the bedroom, but it does impact the bedroom eventually. Because in all intimate relationships, what happens in our communication, what happens in our relationship will end up in the bedroom, and vice versa. What happens in the bedroom will end up in our relationship as a general rule, because they mirror. They mirror. When we expand our sex, we expand our life, and vice versa. So today I was actually driving. I've been going today, and I was driving, doing some errands before coming home to get ready for nice dinner out tonight, and then, my clients this afternoon that I have. And I was thinking about vulnerability, and I was thinking over an old article I wrote, and this moment I had with a friend, a male friend, and I remember this guy looking at me and being like, Addison, just lay it all out. Just trust me. Just tell me all your vulnerability. Throw it all out there. And I remember in that moment being pissed off. Really, really pissed off. Because I remember sitting there and going, you haven't earned my vulnerability. You haven't earned me sharing all of this intimate stuff, all this stuff that is deep within me. You haven't earned it. You haven't put in the time. You haven't put in the effort. And yet you want to hot wire my vulnerability. And I see this in our relationships in general. So we're going to, of course, focus in on our intimate relationships, but I really do want you to think about how this also impacts your children, because we do this actually more with children than we do with, I think, anybody. We do this with our family members. We do this with our friends. We do it with a lot of people in our life, but we're going to focus on intimate relationships. And this is this energy of not really putting in the effort for the vulnerability. And a lot of people go, no, I've put in the effort. I've put in the effort. But really, are you? Are you putting in the effort? And when I say the effort, so I'm going to give you a scenario because I think it'll help get my point across the best. So if you're married, if you've been married for 10 years, and you know what? We live in a world where everyone's busy. We're busy a lot of times. And you got kids screaming, you got things going on, and your husband or your wife looks at you and asks you something, oh, what happened with this? And it's really vulnerable. It's or it's something that is going to take a moment to share, or something that really does pull up our shame triggers, which vulnerability and shame go hand in hand, guys. They go hand in hand. That ask in that moment is inappropriate. A lot of times we want to do these kind of doorknob confessionals, and we want other people to do that too. We don't want to stop and give presence and give time for somebody to talk to us, give time for somebody to share. And I know you might be going, that's great, Addison. I don't have that fucking time. I don't have that level of time. I am busy. And the fact is, we don't have to stop and have a whole hour conversation over every little thing. But the fact is, if you're not building that up, if you're not building that presence time up, if you're not really building that trust up in the relationship, then when you go ahead and ask these really vulnerable questions or ask something really personal to somebody, what ends up happening is for those of you who have suffered sexual assault, I don't want to make light of this word because this is a big word, but you're emotionally raping somebody. You're okay, no, give it to me right now. Give it to me right now. That is the feeling that can come across when you are trying to dig too fast, too deep into somebody's shit. And you're not giving any time and space and presence level. And I see this with again, my married couples a lot of times. They are like, why? I did ask that. I asked that of her. I asked how her day went. I asked how she's feeling. I asked how she felt about it. I asked. And it's like, okay, yeah, but did you take the time and the presence level? Did you take the time and presence level? And a lot of times we want one or both parties are not fully present. We will stop and try to have these conversations at really bad fucking times. Really bad times. And this creates so much chaos in our relationships, because if both parties in these conversations, in these moments, are not really present and available. So, for example, like somebody's watching the football game, somebody's trying to get a kid to bed, and giving them a bath. Those are not times to have these vulnerable conversations. Guess what? I brought up children earlier. When you're driving them to school and you're about to kick them out the door is not the time to ask them, how's that bullying going? How's that bullying going that you've been experiencing? When your best friend, when you see your best friend, asking them how their sex life is right before they head out the door is not the time to do it. Even in the bedroom, there is a level of trust and conversation that must happen for you to be at that level of vulnerability when actually having sex. So you have to give the presence level, the time, the space, the conversation. Give the time for the conversation and the space for the conversation in order to have that orgasmic sex. Because guess what? If that trust isn't there, if that communication isn't there, if that vulnerability isn't there, I promise you, you are not having your best level sex, your most orgasmic sex. And you're not having your most orgasmic relationships either. If you are rushing everybody in your life, and you're trying to catch everybody at in between these times, you are not really getting the people in your life. You're not getting the whole person. And again, I get it. We're busy. I'm busy. You're busy. Busy is like, it's a freaking virus that our world has right now. Is busy, busy, busy. However, if you want to create lasting relationships, if you want to create space for those moments when you really are running, then create that trust, create that safety net by filling that bank account up with spending the time when you do have it, giving the attention, asking the questions. I get a lot of people who are like, well, she didn't share. Well, are you asking? Are you inquiring? If we never inquire, that shows somebody we're not interested in their vulnerability. That is the message that gets passed. Now, on the other side, not everything can be a vulnerable conversation. We have to look at our own triggers, because again, vulnerability, shame, and trauma all really come into the same pot. What is vulnerable to me is not necessarily going to be vulnerable to you. What's vulnerable to you is not going to necessarily be vulnerable to me. And so there is you can easily tell somebody, that's really vulnerable. And I'd like, if we're going to talk about that, I'd like a little bit more time. I'd like a little bit more time and attention before, we talk about that. If it's something that really does trigger you, really does stir you for some reason. And then looking at yourself and going, okay, why is this vulnerable? Why am I struggling to share this? Why is this, why? And kind of do that internal work. But also making sure that you're setting up that trust bank account. You're setting up that trust bank account. And again, look at all your relationships. It is not just your intimate relationship. This is one where we can definitely see it like an elephant in the room. But this is true of all your relationships. Make sure you're setting the time aside to give energy and attention and presence level to all the relationships in your life, and willing and have the energy. And I don't mean like the physical energy. I mean like you have the energy to really hear, and you're not coming at somebody with blocked walls, because that's not vulnerability. That's not presence. That's not a space to really hold space for somebody. So Look at where this could be applicable to you, what's going on in your life, your relationships. Are you holding space? Are you able to be present? Are you making that time? Or are you busy, and not inquiring, or inquiring at very horrible times where it makes the other person kind of feel like they're being emotionally raped? They're being emotionally raped from the expectation of deep shares out of nowhere. No warm-up time. That's what it means. No warm-up time. I'm going to steal your emotions and run. That's what it is. So let's not do that. Let's not do that, guys. So, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Hi, Marlon. Yes. I'm glad vulnerability is so important. Vulnerability is definitely important. So, all right, guys, if you want to work with me one-on-one, if you want to step up your freaking game for the rest of 2021 and end up really pushing into 2022, feeling energized, orgasmic, having a focus and a purpose and being on point for 2022, then head over to my consultation application and let's find a way to up level. Even if you don't choose to move through, the consultation is going to be priceless. So, all right, guys, I love you and I will see you soon for another Addison Unleashed. Bye, guys.